Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos. Hi all, I'm coming to you with something a little bit different today. This is a canvas, as you can see, and not a really expensive canvas, quite a cheap canvas. You know, it depends on what you want to use. If you haven't got a lot of money, then just a cheap canvas will do, but if you want to go for something more expensive, that's fine also. And I've made this picture from a paper napkin. Now the paper napkin didn't look like this. This is the paper napkin, and as you can see, when you open it out, each section has a different flower on it. So when we come back to this picture, you can see that the background there is all these bits and pieces, but I left out the numbers that are there, that are printed on. See those numbers that are printed on? I left them out. I just cut up bits and pieces of this and stuck it all over the background. Now the other thing is, if you can see the stripes here, they are these edges and these edges. I don't know what that's doing on there, so I'll take that off. These edges. Okay, now then I have the four flowers. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 flowers there. Now the trick to this is, as you know, napkins are transparent, so that if I just stuck the napkin straight over another piece of napkin, for instance, if I stuck this light napkin straight over that without doing anything else, you would see all these textured areas in that flower. If I stuck this straight over that without doing anything else, you would see all those lines through the flower, those black lines. So I have had to build this picture from the back forward. So the first thing I did is cover all of this here now with these. I probably didn't completely cover those areas there. Okay, and as you can see this little bit in between? In there? That is that bit there. Alright. So I've probably worked out roughly where the lines are going to go, and then I've covered all the area that the lines aren't going to be on, and I might have overlapped a little bit onto those lines, and then I've let that dry. So this is a process. Once it's completely dry, if there's any of this background on where these lines are, I've painted it in white to cover up that in those areas, then glued these on and let them dry. Once that's all dry, I've cut out each of these flowers, worked out which was going to be the one at the back, which was this one here, put it in position and drew around the outside of it, or just under the edge so that the pencil wouldn't show, and painted that area white. Once that was dry, stuck that flower on. Then I did the same with these two because they overlap that one, and lastly I put that one on which overlaps all three and the lines. Okay, so it is a very slow step-by-step process, but I'm going to show you how I did it. Now I've walked you through it slowly. You will just see a fast video on how I did this. Also, you'll notice that these edges on the flowers are perfect. They're cut edges, and the edges on the lines are cut edges. I haven't done the traditional wet it and tear it so that you've got ragged edges. I've gone for sharp edges. So when I cut this up so that I got what I wanted out of it, I cut it with all the layers together and then peeled these layers off after I'd cut it up. So I'm going to now show you all of that. I'm trying not to cut into the background until I'm ready to work out how I want to use it, because this picture I'm expecting not to be exactly the same as the last one, because I have a different size canvas. It's slightly larger, and it's not square, it's rectangular. It's not going to matter if you've still got some of the background on this flower, because this will be the background. So if you cut, if you're not great at cutting and you've got little extra bits that are part of the background like that, it's not really going to matter much. Just don't want to cut into the flower too much and take out too big a chunk that doesn't look like a petal. So, and not all of you will be able to get this particular napkin. I've had it for a number of years, so I'm not even sure if it's still available. But I'm sure there's plenty of other napkins out there that have interesting designs on them that you could produce and change into some sort of picture if you start thinking about it. I'm just showing you the technique I used in order to make the picture happen, and the things you have to consider if you want sharp colour instead of bits and pieces showing through from the background. And you don't necessarily have to do this on canvas. You could do it on a box, you could do it on a piece of timber, you could do this idea on a bottle. There's lots of different ways that you could do this. So now, before I go cutting all this up, I'm going to have a look at how everything fits, because as you can see, this is a different shape to that one, and it requires a lot more paper. Now I do have a second napkin, so that if I do need more background, I can use the second napkin there. And I always like to have at least 2 napkins. Now the other thing is, see there's this white line on this side? I might keep that for this one. Now they're very long and so's that. So I think the stripes this time are going to go with the, might do it with that on the outside, the white on the outside, and that will fit there quite well. Now let's see, and that will go across there quite well, so that's good. I think I will still keep to the same arrangement with these flowers. I wonder if I could bring that up further. That could probably come out further because this the stem is going to be covered up. This could come down here further. So we've got some bigger gaps between, and then this like this. Now, this didn't have a stem on it. Now, I'm not sure if I like that. I think that might need to come down inside further. See, and you fiddle around with it until you're happy with the way things are going. I would also make sure that, see, the gap there is the same as the gap here. I might even draw a line on there and a line on there and just space these out and have, say, this gap the same or different to that gap. You need to decide whether you want, you know, something different or the same. Might put them closer together maybe. But there's an option. There's one option on how that could go. I have drawn the lines on now, and as you can see, I've only got 3 lines in each direction. So this line here, these 2 lines here show me where I can put the background. And that line, the first and the last line, is the edge of each. So that one goes along that edge, and where's the second one? This one goes along this edge here. See? Like that. And this is the gap between, and the same down the bottom. So now I can start adding these scraps of paper, and this time I don't think I'll cut them. This time I'm going to tear them so that there's a textured background and a straight line foreground for this. Now there's all sorts of glues that you could use. I'm just going to put some paper under this just in case. I doubt whether I'll get much glue on the desk, but I'll just put that there just in case. There's all sorts of glues that you can get for putting this on. Anything that dries clear is what you need. Now I've got a Mod Podge gloss, but you can get a Mod Podge glass matte, you could get a gel medium, you could just get PVA, you can use whatever you like. I've got a soft but firm bristle brush. This is just a little cheap one. Don't even know where I picked it up, but it's firm. As you can see, there's firmness in that. It doesn't bend right over, but it's soft. It's not sharp bristle, so it's not likely to tear the paper, because once this paper gets wet, it's very delicate. So what I'm going to start doing first thing I need to do is peel all this excess backing off this paper. There's one, and I think there's another one. Yes. Yes, there. Much easier to peel this off once everything's cut, because those edges have, see those little bumps in them, and those little bumps hold this on fairly firmly, whereas if you get out here you can lift that paper off fairly easily. I'll get that off all of these. Take that off first. Now, seeing it's all hacked up, I'm not going to keep it for something, but you know, if it was all in one nice big piece I might. I was thinking too, seeing this is so long, I may be able to use, if I have to go to the second napkin, I might be able to add extra flowers into this picture too. We'll just wait and see what happens. I have a tendency to do it as I go, so let's just see how we go. Now, what I'm going to do is just start ripping these, and see if it's got a straight edge there, I might just put it over the edge like that, you see. Take advantage of the straight edges. In fact, let's see how we go with getting all these straight edges on first. And I might be able to take them down the edge there too. Oh, I've just realised I really do need to know what the width is here to know how to bring that up, how much to bring that up to. So I've already mucked up. I've just got to find my ruler again, and I'll do that and come back to you. Turn that light on a bit. I don't know if that'll make a difference to you. I hope so. And you've just got to make sure that there's no bubbles in this. And I want a lot of overlapping and crossing over so that it has a fair bit of texture involved in the background. I want it. I want to see the overlaps in the background. And it's got a 90-degree corner, so I might just put that down in this corner here so that it just overlaps there. Now I'm trying to cover up these pencil lines too with the with this paper. This Mod Podge I've got is a very thick consistency. I probably could have added a bit more water to it just to make it a bit more and just think that the more you tear it and overlap it, like the smaller you make the pieces, the less paper you're going to have to cover. So I'm tending to make these pieces slightly larger than I did in the first one. just to see if it'll go all the way. But I don't want all the pieces to be looking the same size either. So I'm just tearing them at different angles and different sizes. Now that the background is dry, I've been playing with how I'm going to arrange these flowers, and this is how I think I'm going to do it. So I've taken a picture of that to help me remember the layout. So now I'm going to lift these off and we can now glue those stripes on. So I have them ready, and I have all the paper that was on the backing taken off them now. And I think what I'll do is I'll glue this first and then I'll glue them down either end. The other thing I need to do is make sure that there's no white showing when I put this down, because I won't be able to lift it again. Once it's down, it'll be down for good. So I'm going to turn it over this way so that I can really see what I'm doing. And I've just noticed that it just looked like it didn't have enough on it. So there's step 2 of, so we've done the background, now we've done the stripes. We'll let that dry, and then we're going to paint where the flowers are going to go in order to get a nice, now I haven't bothered painting where that went over there because there's going to be a flower over the top of that and you're not going to see it. But we're going to now have to paint where the flowers are going to go one at a time, so that we can then glue them on. But they need a white background. We don't want a coloured background, as you can see, or you might be able to see if you put that down there. No, you can't see it. I was hoping that you'd be able to see the lines. I can see them, but I'm looking in the camera, it doesn't look like you can see them. But yes, you can see a little black line there. I'm not sure if you can or not, but I'll take it up there. You can see the black line through it. That's what I don't want happening. And light and dark patches on the petals. So that's why we're putting the white underneath. And also, if we put a light one of these over the top of a dark one of these, it's going to be darker there and lighter out here where it's on the yellow, and I don't want that happening either. So that's why we're putting the white down. Okay, I'll go let this dry and I'll be back. As it's hard to see pencil or chalk drawn on this glossy surface, I'm actually going to just peel each of these off and leave their backing on, and I'm going to glue that straight down, and then we'll see whether that's enough to then stick the flowers on, or whether we need to go over it with white as well. But we get each of these flowers in the right position and then just peel their backing off. Now I'm going to just stick each of those straight down. I'll come back once that's dry. I'll just bring it up and show you. It's just, you can just see where each one's sitting. Once the glue dries clear, you'll be able to see the napkin a lot easier, or the napkin backing a lot easier. Now, as you can see by these, I have painted over the top of the paper that I laid down, and I've done 4 of the flowers. I've only got 1 more to do, and so that's the one I'm just going to do online. And I just follow the edge, and I might have to pick it up to see where the edge goes of the paper, and I'm just going to go a little bit in from that edge, not right on it. Now, as you can see by the speed in which I painted this one, it's a pretty quick activity. It's not a long drawn out thing. You know, the most time you've got to wait is for it to dry, and if you hit it with a hairdryer, well, it'll dry pretty quick. So this is a pretty fast activity. It doesn't take a long time. Now, if you like what you're seeing, please hit the subscribe button down the bottom, and so that you can see more of the videos that I produce in the future. And you can also pop into my channel and have a look at the ones I've previously produced. You might want to look at the video on how I use paper napkins to do cards. It's a bit unusual and different from what I've done in other videos. I've seen online with other videos and paper napkins. I'm doing something nobody else is doing from what I can see. Maybe somebody is now, but when I first produced it, I didn't see that online in YouTube anywhere. So you know, please go in and have a look at that one. If you're into napkins, you might enjoy it. The white parts are all dry now, and the next thing I did before I just automatically glued them on is I sat these over the top, and I made sure that no white was going to show. And because let's face it, we're not all perfect when we're when we're painting, and we can make a mess at times. So okay, now I can see a little bit of white there, so what I might do is come back with some of this paper and my glue, and just put a little bit across there so that I can hide that white bit. And because that's so white there, I might put another piece over the top again, just to darken the colour a little bit on that corner. Okay, so that when I put this down and glue it, everything, all the white is going to be covered. Okay, now that's the background one. That's the first one that needs to be stuck down. And I don't really want this going under this flower here. So what I'm going to do is cut that off right on the edge there. And I'm going to just slowly lift this up, get the glue down in the white area and off the edge, because I know that this is going to go over the edge, because I tried to paint it so that the white was smaller than the actual flower. And then I can lay that down. I'll get a wider brush with soft bristles to go over the top. And as you can see, because the white is under it, this is standing out really well against the background. Now, then I'll just lift this last bit up and put the paint down, the glue down here as well, and then paste that on. There we are. There's our first flower, the background flower, because this one is going to sit over it, this one is going to sit over it, and I think this one sits over it a little bit too. Now I might go to this flower up the top here, and I'll do the same thing. I'll sit it on first and make sure that it completely covers all the white. Now all the white I think is covered there. Let's move that there. I think that's pretty good. And I'll snip this little bit off here. Let's see which way that goes. Across that way like that. There we are. Now what I'll do is I'll leave this to dry, and I'll leave it, and I'll film the last little bit when we get some more light, not so much shadow, so you can get a really good look at what this actually looks like finished. Okay. Well, the picture's finished almost. It's completely dry, but one little thing I wasn't happy with, this pattern across here has little dots in it, and if you look at how the dots turned out on this one here, you can barely see them across that section there. So what I've done is I've got myself a paint pen, and see, I've put those other ones in there, so now when you look at it you can actually see those dots running across there. So I'm just going to put these ones in with a paint pen too, just to show you how easy it is to do. Now that bit is covered up by the stem, so I've only got that little bit over there to do now. And I've already done down the sides on either side. So to me, I'm just a bit happier with that, how that turned out a bit brighter there with the dots, because I actually left them in on this one, whereas the other one, oh, they're in, but I didn't worry about them so much, and I didn't have the white on this, so it's a more subdued look, whereas that had that bright white on there, so I figure I wanted to see the dots just as white. Now if you compare the two, and I always do this when I finish, when I've done something, I always have a good look at it, and I critique it, just because if I'm going to do it again ever, I want to know what I'm going to change. And I think I prefer looking at it in real life and not through the camera. I think I prefer well, I like the shiny finish, but it was harder to work with. I like the layout of this better because there's more spacing here between the flowers, whereas to me there's nice spacing there, but that all looks a bit squashed up. I think if I did this again with 5 flowers, I would swap these two around so that there's a red one here, and it might be a better contrast. So you know, but if nobody saw that, then I think, you know, they'd be happy with that. Everybody's different. Somebody might look at the two and prefer this one anyway. But there's a couple of options for the same napkin. I was also thinking that if you had, you know, 2 or 3 napkins and a larger canvas, you could make a field of flowers out of these coming up from the bottom, and then get some other napkins if you didn't want to do any painting, for grass and that sort of thing, and maybe smaller flowers in the field. There's all sorts of ways you can go here depending on what you have. I might have a look through my my stash of napkins and see what else I can come up with. But if you liked this video, and if you liked this method and you would like to see more of it, please say something in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video today, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified of my new videos.